What's going on? Peace out there, family. You're now tuned into G Consciousness Live. Real quick, I just want to do a study on something real quick in regards to Polight. The title of this is Polight, Do You Understand What Administrations Are? And that's the title. It's basically Polight, Do You Understand What Administrations Are? So apparently, had a conversation on Sanetta's channel. Shout out to Sarnetta TV. Um, I believe you guys can go and check it out over there. I had bad reception. My reception was definitely bad. My computer wasn't running up to par, and it was skipping and missing. So uh, the questions that I had, people couldn't really understand it in regards to when I was talking to Polight. So what I want to do is just go over some of the stuff that I didn't get a chance to go over and bring those things out. Let me make sure my headset is putting out correctly and my sound is good. Hold on, give me a minute, y'all. I don't know. I know I am at the. I don't know if this reception is putting out pretty good because I'm a distance away from town. Let me see if I'm getting good reception. I don't know if this reception is putting out pretty good because away from. Okay, so my sound is putting out pretty well. What's up? What's going on, Tony? Let me make sure I'm hit my headset. Headset on. Let me see. Mic check. Mic check. Make sure my headset is connected. All right, so it looks like my headset is connected. All right, you guys. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Oh, my sound is putting up. All right, mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Oh, my sound is putting up. All right, mic check. Mic check. All right, so cool. This should be good right here. All right, so check. All right, so here's the deal. As I stated before, I did a roundtable. It was me. It was on Sarnetta TV, Sarnetta News. Make sure y'all go over there and check it out. Click and subscribe. Shout out to Brother Sarnetta, as I stated before. There, you had Israel Doctrine, and you also had Divine Ron Prospect. Now, supposedly Polight is supposed to be debating Tazaryak again. He had a little session to where Polight came and he was, taking questions, and so I definitely was on the panel. Now, there's some things that's up for question. One of the things was when we dealt with consciousness to what we see with the brain, and that's it. What happens life after death? Do life continue after death? What happens is consciousness just attached to the brain? Do you become to where you are in an unconscious state? conscience. And so that question was brought up. I think Lex Vortex demonstrated it properly, and explained it properly too. Polite danced and jumped over the questions. Not only that, we brought up the Bible concerning, how does it relate to one's awareness. Also, when you talk about conscious, you might talk about, conscience just as well too, which is conscience, which deals with the moral faculty or that part of guilt or that part of that part that's in you, or that individual light that gives you the understanding of what good and evil is, if you have not corrupted that moral faculty. So there's consciousness, which means awareness, and you are aware of that which is around you, your surroundings, and also to that which is good and which is evil. And so I brought up those things, and I stated how written law, or why the Bible is something that we use as a tool to govern the conscience, to govern the conscience, and also we use it for awareness. So we are aware of the biblical text, its instructions, and not only that, we are definitely aware of what we would call human government. And human government was something that was initiated due to the fact of when one will not obey that moral faculty of them being free moral agents, when they will not obey that conscience or conscience, then we bring forth what we call written laws, things that we all have some type of moral objective to. So things that we can look at and say, well, this person is not following a written protocol or written laws. So we governize our communities and internationally by way of instructions and teachings. And when you go against those laws, then there is you penalize. So what I want to deal with today is basically dealing with administrations. We all are ministers, distinctively and personally among ourselves, to administer the affairs of our lives. So each one of us have a sole purpose, and that is to administer the affairs of our life and be a good steward of those things as we relate to other people. Because remember, we're not in this world by ourselves. We also have to relate to people within our family structures, our households, and also outside of our households. But how we conduct ourselves with people, or administer ourselves with people, is very important. And this is why we have written laws, which we call the dispensation or administration of human government, which we're going to deal with that just as well too. So, there's a lot of things that need to be brought out here. And as I stated, the title is Polite. Do you understand what administrations are? Because you cannot administer even to your affairs properly without understanding the instructions on what you have been given to administer to. When you do daily business with people who you come in contact with, far as business wise, relationship wise in your household, relationship wise out of your household, there is a written protocol or structures that you use in order to conduct your business, or in order to conduct your relationship with people within your households. You cannot get away from it. It is inevitable. So when you go over to Sonetta TV and you watch what took place, I had bad sound. I was choppy. I was chopping up. My computer wasn't keeping up that day. I was way in the boondocks of the country somewhere, so it wasn't keeping up with what they were saying. So I was lagging. Plus, brothers wasn't muting their mics. Plus, I didn't have a mic at that time or a headset that was properly, that I knew how to properly work. So, and it wasn't gonna work anyways because my computer was just, you could see it was just lagging on my end. I had to even refresh it just to, get a proper dialogue with these brothers before I can come in. So, make sure y'all hit the subscribe button also, and also make sure y'all share this. I'm finna share this in one more group. Let me see. All right, so make sure you guys share this. So let me check my chat room, make sure my sound is putting out correctly, and speak to some of these brothers in the chat room. He had a little sessions where I know I properly work. So and it wasn't gonna work. All right, so my sound is correct. What's going on, So Real? Peace, brother. And by the way, this is brother So Real here. He's the one that made that. If y'all go to So Real's page, make sure y'all click and subscribe. He's definitely in the chat room right now. He made the little skit class, and in the class that I did it concerning Tazariak in response to the video that he did. Shout out to brother Tazariak, but I just don't deal with them brothers' information and their teachings. So Tazariak and Katasai, and I know I sound stupid every time I say his name, but his name just sounds silly anyways. But anyways, the brother they did a video, a class on me in vocab, and so they was actually going in, taking all types of little silly shots, especially Katasai. So anyways, I did a response video, and when we dealt with some scriptures, but y'all know I'm definitely humorous, so I to say on there, y'all can go and check my last video that I did. Make sure y'all click and subscribe. So when I did the video, took it and he chopped and screwed it. He basically, and I didn't know he did it, and I didn't know, I didn't even know. I was trying to get in contact with So Real probably, that later on that night when I had some good service, and I asked him, did he was that him or did somebody else make that? And he said that it was him that made it actually. So y'all might want to get over there and go check it out on So Real's page. Make sure y'all click and subscribe. Y'all can just type in So Real on YouTube and go to his page and click and subscribe. And also look at the last class that we did concerning, well, it wasn't a class, but we did an introduction to Shield, the Shield Squad. We started that we're going to be dealing with, which is a apologetic, group, and so we're going to be dealing with those things, and so you guys can go and check that out. So yeah, so go over and check that out, man. It got wild. It was some great information. All right, so I got one more to send out. And then we can go in. I started briefly on some things already, and so let's all right, so look, so as I stated before, briefly for those that just came in, dealt with some things with Polight. Sanetta was there. Sanetta agreed with some of the stance of Polight, but I think that they yielded up their position when it comes to Kemet, or what we see in the Nile Valley, what we see in the afterlife. Kemet administered their affairs up and down the Nile Valley within their boundaries on what they, they initiated their government by these so to speak laws of Mayat, law principles and balance and order and truth, so to speak. That's what Mayat actually deals with. So look at them yielding their position, they basically stripped themselves of the ground that was up under them and didn't even realize it. Because the very things that we see in Kemet, when you look at the Pert M Heru, which is the coming forth by day, you can see that there is administrations that are given to those that are in the hall of judgment, whether if it's of Tahuti, which is the scribe, which is the writer who brought writing to the Nile Valley, so to speak, and also to which they'll call Thoth, hermeneutics that he brought forth to the Nile Valley, then also to Sumer, and also to the Levant and into the to the other worlds. When we look at it, right, understand what administrations are. Well, let's look at the Tsar, because my premise, I stated that we as God set up Israel as a culture of people with laws, their daily affairs within their kingdom. And so that was on a local level, on a kingdom level, but they came in contact. So how they related to other people is very important. And also how they related to themselves among themselves, because they did it by, there's not one government that has come into existence that relates or have relationships with other people that do not up laws or teachings among cultures of people, especially civilizing. So, and that was my position. And I heard Divine Ron Prospect on how he spoke, what he spoke. I disagree on that, because culturally we do have to where thousands of years before the Bible even came into existence, from when we even biblically, when we look at what Moses wrote, he would have been writing according to his chronology in 1445 BC in that area, 1445 to 1446 BC in that area. So he would have been writing at that time, right? But we would have found out. But before then, we still have cultures of people that conducted themselves by way of oral traditions or by way of law. Now, he said, well, we had 1,000 years before the Bible, 2,000 years or thousands of years before the Bible came into existence. How did people conduct themselves then? Well, I will tell you that people conducted themselves by way of conscience. This is why, or they administered themselves by way of conscience. And this is the moral faculty, right? They were aware of this moral faculty that was in them. So they was consciousness of conscience. They was aware of the moral faculty that was in them, which caused them to understand what good and evil is. Now, remember, we can relate this back to the Bible, because the Bible actually teach that man became into a state of what we call conscience, or when he was aware of his surroundings more so than what he ought to be as usual, and he was aware of his moral faculty. Remember, the Bible says man has become one of us to know good and evil. So what does that mean? He knew good at first, just good. He only experienced good. Adam did. Well, when did he start to experience bad? Or when did he start to be knowledgeable of what bad is by way of experience? That took place when he partook of the information or the fruit of that tree, right? When he partook of the information or the fruit of that tree, then he understood, or he became aware to where he knew that he was naked, right? He knew that he was naked by way of experience now. And then, and not only that is that he also knew what shame and guilt and what those things began to feel like because he disobeyed that which was good, which was God, which was truth. He disobeyed the truth that God had given him, and therefore he experienced shame and guilt behind it. So this is Adam leaving from a state of God consciousness or God conscience to a state of self consciousness, a state of awareness of a state of awareness of his being aware of his conduct and that of what is good and evil. My sound is putting out too. It was some great information. All right, so my sound is putting out too. All right, cool. So my sound is good. Sometimes I have problems with this, so I got to make sure everything is good. All right, so cool. So let's look at this. Let's screen share real quick. Screen share. All right. As y'all can see, my computer kind of super low, so yeah. All right, so let's get so slow. I can't be dealing with that. Well, I'm out and about right now, so let's look at something. It says conscience. Let me make sure you guys can see this screen and YouTube. All right, cool. So my sound is good. Stop. Yeah. Let's see. All right, so let's get so slow. I can't be dealing with that. All right, so everything is pulled up. Let's see. All right, so let's get so slow. I can't be dealing with that. All right, so everything is pulled up. Let's see. All right, so I do have some type of lag going on, and I understand that. So let me let's see. All right, so it says this lag make me sick. Hold on for a minute. All right, so see. All right, so cool. It says conscience is an aptitude, faculty, judgment that assist in distinguishing right from wrong. So you have some type of assistance that assists you in distinguishing right from wrong. Understand that, because when we look at it, this is what we're going to also see within the book of Genesis, right? It's almost as if it's some type of inner light or some type of voice within. It says, judgment may derive from values of norms, principles, and rules. Now, remember, it always derived from something, whether it's deriving from the tree of knowledge of good and evil or whether it's deriving from God. Remember that. Now, to understand right and wrong does not mean you cannot corrupt this moral faculty to where now you cannot distinguish between this right and wrong because you have corrupted your conscience. I don't know if you guys will understand that, but you can corrupt your conscience. We have people that corrupt their conscience today. They may think that good is robbing, stealing, and killing. And so this is what they try to actually establish throughout the world on an international or on a cultural perspective. They may say justify why robbing, stealing, and destroying people, you know, by way of wickedness is something that is good to them. And that, you know, they may say that, like most people might say that the Bible, certain things is evil concerning how people conduct themselves on a manner of God's laws in the Bible. They may say it is a wicked or it's an evil way. So, okay, let's look at this. In psychological terms, consciousness is often described as leading to feelings of remorse when a human commits actions that go against his or her moral values. Now, we can look at the biblical text and actually see and Eve did something that made them feel some type of remorse because of they went against the instructions of the Creator, of the Most High, right? So they felt some type of guilt, some type of shame. This is what we call a moral faculty, and it goes against a moral value of something that was given to him, or he was supposed to administer to, but he did not. And two feelings of rectitude or integrity when actions conform to such norms. Now notice it says integrity, because how one relate to other people should be integrity. Now we are all given a administration, and so we should administer ourselves properly on how we relate to each other. To be in the way where we know it's in integrity. It says the extent to which conscience informs moral judgment before an action, and whether such moral judgments are based in reason, has occasioned debate through much of the history of Western philosophy. Right? We see this in Western philosophy, but it's also used in Eastern philosophy, because remember, the book comes from an Eastern perspective. Westernize it, but it comes from an Eastern perspective. That's why you see certain laws and judgments that you wouldn't see in a Western hemisphere. And the thing about it is we have to understand this book from an Eastern perspective when we start looking at things culturally, on what's going on. Even when we start dealing within their laws and their judgments, most people be like, oh, that was retarded. Why would they do that? Well, these are Middle Eastern people, are Near East people, and this is their perspective as we also come into the Middle East and also into Africa just as well. We can't look at it from a westernized perspective all the time. It said religious views of conscience usually see it as linked to morality inherent in all humans. It's in all humans. Now remember, this is consciousness. One is consciousness, aware of conscience. Because if you look up above, it says not to be confused with consciousness, which that is the next thing we're going to get to, is being aware of your surroundings, alert, basically. Science is basically dealing with this moral faculty. So one is aware to that which is good and evil. So as just better paraphrasing it and putting it in better terms. It says the diverse ritualistics, mythical, doctrinal, legal, notice it says legal, doctrinal, mythical. Now when you understand these things, did Kemet have rituals? Yes. Did Kemet have myths? Yes. Have doctrines? Yes. Was Kemet built upon institutions? Yes. Right? Features of religion may not necessarily cohere with experimental, emotive, spiritual, or however you said, contemplative considerations about the origin and of conscience, right? So we see that there are these things that we see: ritual, mystical, doctrinal, legal, institutional, and material features of religion may not necessarily cohere with experimental. In other words, you may have these things instituted, but there is the very experiment. When you start looking at not experiment, the very experience of those things, the very coming into the very experience of what is ra'ah, or what is evil, calamity, misery, misfortune, noism, plagues, and all of these different things coming into the aspect of ups and downs, goods and bads. 1 minute you own, 1 minute you're not. So you can experience those things, and so life is variables, and also open when it comes to these different possibilities upon what you choose. Whatever you choose, right? There's outcome to that. There's outcomes to that. There's laws of sowing and reaping, so to speak, just as well too. Now, let's read. Let's continue on. It says, common secular or scientific views regard the capacity for conscience as probably determined. Understand that. Probably as genetically determined, which its subject probably learned or imprinted it like language as part of culture. Even they have to take view and look and say, it's something about the conscience or this moral faculty that's embedded within free moral agents that we have to even define or classify in terms. Now, you look at, right? You look at this, right? Why is this very important? Because when you look at social science, I want y'all to look up social science. Social science is how one socially goes into the social community and experiment, test, observe, and repeat these experiments on the social society or social communities, almost like social studies. So this is a science, because I have to understand how people relate to each other, how they respond, and also to observe it and also repeat those things, whether it's historically, presently, and also how we will in the future deal with people according to their conduct. Now, God is the same way. In the past, God gave man an administration, right, of what I would call a dispensation, a probationary period of time when man was given administration on how he would govern his community or his land or the earth, whether if it's internationally, how he would conduct those things and his affairs within his what was subject unto him. Now Adam was given a administration, right? He was given something to administer to and to keep that, which was the garden, and also he was things that was made subject unto him. Now when Adam failed, it caused a effect not only on him but also on those that will come from him, because he is the progenitor of them. And so we just read that faculty is probably genetically determined just as well. So it's something that is learned or imprinted like language as part of culture. Watch what it says. Commonly used metaphors for conscience include the voice within, the inner, even Socrates' reliance on what the Greeks call his demonic sign, or however you say that, demonic, I don't know how to say that, and averting, inner voice heard only when he was about to make a mistake. So we see that this inner voice is in you, which is a guideline or a measure to measure yourself, administer yourself properly to the administration that you have been given. That was the conversation, right? So, too polite and what administration are, right? Let's look at also computers moving too. Let me make some sounds putting out right. So they felt some type of guilt, some shame. This is what we call. What's this? Commonly used. Some type of guilt, some shame. Commonly used. Even define or classify in terms in you, which is a guideline on. Okay, cool. So measure to measure yourself. All right, so kind of like it's coming out through. All right, cool. Everything cool. Peace to the family. 415. All right, so cool. Hilarious Zulu. Frame. All right, so cool. Let me get back to it. All right, so All right, so let's look at consciousness. And I keep having these pop-ups because they going in over here on the platform. Its consciousness is the state or quality of awareness, being aware of external objects or something within oneself. Variously in terms of sentience, awareness, subjectivity, the ability to experience or to feel wakefulness. So conscious is something having a sense of selfhood or soul. So we see that one soul aware, to experience, feel, activity. So this is what this is dealing with. So we don't have to really go too much in this, but let's go to the very text. Oh man, I wish they will stop. Hold on. Let me see. Oh man, hold on for a minute, because I don't know what. All right, so Kataza. Oh, this is this Kataza. Oh my God, this dude. This dude even. How does this dude even get on my page to even post a? Hold on for a minute, y'all. I don't understand how Kataza even got on my page to even post something. Was I even friends with Kataza? That's kind of weird. I don't know how he got on this page to post something, because I don't think I was. Where did I post this at, matter of fact? Let me see something. I don't know how. This is weird. I'm gonna have to find this out, see where I posted that, because somehow, some way, caught the side. The Harry Rosenberg looked alike from ISUPK posted something and got some stuff started. Anyways, let me get back into this. The calling. I'm sorry, I didn't jump to something else. Let's go back to Genesis. All right, so it says, so let's look at God giving something to administration. Let's look at what he's given. It says, God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. And God blessed them. God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. Watch what he says. And subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. Right? So God gave man dominion over everything that he had actually. He made that the subject unto man. He gave Adam administration, and we can kind of see that already, right? So we look at it. He gives Adam all these things, right? He only told Adam one thing, and that was to be obedient. What he what he had to administer to. And administrations, right? We understand that this is something that is a dispensation. Let's look at a couple of things, because now we figure out to the nitty gritty. Now, look, 1 Corinthians 9 and 17. Here for a minute, because I want to get off to dispensations, or the dispensation of conscience. Now, it says, though I preach the gospel, I have nothing to glory of, for necessity is laid upon me, yea, woe is unto me if I preach not the gospel. So we see that he says that a necessity is laid unto him, to him, if he preach not the gospel. Let's go to verse 17. But if I do this thing willingly, I have a reward. I will, a dispensation. Notice he says dispensation. Let's click on that.
Oikonomia.
Let's look at it again.
Oikonomia.
Oikonomia, right? 622 Greek Strongs. Let's look at it and see what it means. Ryan's words, dispensation, stewardship. Let's look at it. It's from 36:23, right? Means governor, stewardship, manager, distributor, overseer, employee, right? As a preacher, a house distributor, oikonomia, right? Administration. Look, so or estate. Now, given a household or estate was not heaven extended unto him, or God's lofty place extended unto him, given an administration. We just read it was God created the earth, and everything within the earth he made subject unto Adam, and gave Adam dominion over those things. So he's given a stewardship, dispensation, or administration, or a state, a religious economy, dispensation, or stewardship. So yes, when you say dispensation, it is actually mentioned in the Bible. It's mentioned in Ephesians 1 and 10. Let's go there. It says that in the dispensation, he might gather together in one all things in Christ, right? Same word, dispensation. Same thing, we just explained that. In the fullness of the dispensation, in the dispensation of the fullness of time, together in one all things in Christ, both which are in heaven, earth, even in him. Remember the prayer. Let things be as it is on earth as in heaven, right? So let's look at it one more time. In the New Testament and the Old Testament, but we can see, we kind of get the idea that the very usage of it explains what we see in the Old Testament. 32. I'm sorry, Ephesians 3 and 2. It says, for this cause I, Paul, the prisoner of Jesus Christ for you Gentiles of the dispensation which is given me to you. So dispensation once again is used, right? So let's look at it. Colossians 1:25, and this is the last one. This is used 5 times. I mean 4 times. Wherefore I am made a minister according to dispensation, which is given to me for you, another according to the stewardship, according to the dispensation or administration. It was given of God, which was given to Paul for you to fulfill the word of God, right? Administration, dispensation, stewardship. He had to give it for. So let's continue on and jump back. Now, what I want to deal with is, now that we broke down administration or dispensation, one of the dispensations, which is called the dispensation of conscience. This is what we must understand concerning administration, right? And I showed you that Adam was given a administration to that administration. Now let's look at the nephew coming out here. All right, cool. It says, Lex Vortex, man, do your shows another time, bro. It says, now for those that study dispensation, they already know. So know what it is, what it pulls up. Let's see, I didn't know how to look it up on here though. Come on. Oh, here it is, right? Study notes. All right, so let's look and see. Can we? Let's see. Something. All right, so let's see. Start. All right, so we're let's back up out of this. Let's back up out of this. Let's see. Oh, I'm not. Next time I have to lock this Facebook because these guys going in over here. I can't stop it. Just posting it because they going in. All right, so cool. All right, so all right, let me go down. Um, dispensation of conscience, right? Now remember, these are just basically God's historical present and also how He will future how He would deal with man in the future, and we believe it is by way of dispensations. So let's look at this, and I'm laying down and talking at the same time, so excuse me. And let me make sure that somehow, some way, I am not screen sharing no more, and I don't know how that happened. All right, let me make sure y'all can see my screen. All right, so let me make sure everything good because I don't know how I'm supposed to be screen sharing, but I wasn't. Make sure everything cool. I ain't screen sharing no more. I don't know how that happened. All right, make sure y'all can see my screen. All right, so let me make sure everything good. I don't know how I'm supposed to be screen sharing, but I wasn't. All right, so everything seems to go. I don't know why I was breaking up. And I'm gonna have to every time these guys this post, it's causing every time they let's see how can I do this. So I might have to do that later on. So anyways, let me make sure that you guys can hear me because I keep. Mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check. So. I had to do that later on. So, anyways, let me make sure that you guys can hear me because I keep. Mic check, mic check. Can you guys hear me now? All right, so I think I could be heard. Can I get a mic check out there? Can you guys hear me? Mic check, mic check. Can I get a mic check in the chat room? Mic check, mic check. Let me get a mic check in the chat room, please. Press the 1 if you can hear me. Mic check, mic check. Nobody's pressing nothing. Let's see. Nobody's pressing nothing. All right, so I can be heard. I can, you guys. So let me continue on. Sorry about the crappy little internet, but these truck stops got crappy internet. All right, so if you look right, of conscience, right, happened in the antediluvian age, and what this is basically dealing with is one of the administrations that we see that God historically dealt with man. So let's look at these 9 points, because each one of these dispensations or administrations come with what we call 9 points. And let's look at it. The name, right? Man was tested to see if he would obey his own conscience regarding right and wrong. So he was being tested to see would he obey his conscience regarding right and wrong. Now, after he have left a state from the dispensation of innocence, of not being guilty from anything, he was not found guilty, so he was innocent. He was innocent. Now he becomes once he's partake of the tree, in a state of the dispensation of conscience. Now, so now let's see, would he dictate himself properly up under what he has been administered to? There were no written laws. The Ten Commandments weren't given to Adam in the previous dispensation. His only law was not to eat the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Of the knowledge of good and evil, being driven out of the garden, he didn't even have the law. 2:14. Also, we did a study on conscience. See conscience. We did a study on that. This dispensation could be called the age of freedom. For man was free to do as he pleased until it became necessary for God to interfere. Now, why did God give man this freedom? To see if he, once again, will govern himself or would obey his own conscience regarding right and wrong. Understand that. Said, man was given, they was given responsibilities, administrations, but the question is, did they govern themselves properly to what they was given to minister to by way of usage of that moral faculty? It says the length, 16 years, 1,056 years from Adam's fall to the 6th year of Noah, until God started dealing basically on another level, added to how he really deals with man. Now, this dispensation had a favorable beginning, a new beginning altogether, with the inhabitants having a knowledge of God and a new covenant with him, right? Let's look at the purpose of God within this dispensation of conscience. Since man knew good and evil, was to guide him in the proper exercise of his so they came with what you call written laws. And so this is how we relate to each other, how we conduct ourselves with each other with these laws. It's how we even build governments. We reject objective morality is common among us all because of the conscience. So, since God would add laws and punishment to enforce obedience for man's own good if he obeyed what or rejected. So it's not about knowing good and evil. It's about would you practice that good, and would you judge that evil? So even in a Egyptian mythos, must judge himself. He becomes the Asar or the Asur or the Wasir. He becomes the judge or the ruler to judge himself. Now, if he don't judge himself, then he himself becomes a judge from another judge. That has the rulership over him. So he wanted man to see that in his false state he could not choose the best good himself. To choose the best good himself was powerless. He wanted to see in his false state he could not choose the best good himself. Was powerless to cope with the fallen angels and demons with whom he had now entered into voluntary union through sin, and who sought his eternal damnation. God wanted man to be brought to helpless in himself to him, so he would turn to God for help, grace and power, and grace and power against Satan or against sin, demon, sickness, and suffering, and the struggle to overcome the curse. He wanted man to know he was the only true friend and helper. Through him was there a way out of sin and the curse, and opportunity for restoration to the original dominion, no administration, right? So I just want you to look
topic we